Tonight, President-elect Trump's new inner circle. Donald Trump fills more high-profile roles for his new administration. He's set to return to the White House tomorrow for the first time since leaving Washington. And
whoever's going to be the Republican leader needs to work with President Trump, so it's probably better to have a good relationship than not.
For the first time in nearly 20 years, Senate Republicans will elect a new leader who could step in to replace Mitch McConnell. Plus, it's a financial question people across the country are asking as we live in one of the most unaffordable housing markets of all time. Rent or buy? The factors to take into account when making your decision. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more, including a wildfire emergency in the Northeast. 30 million people are under fire alerts as red flag warnings stretch from New York to Boston. Plus, at least 11 people injured in a massive factory explosion, part of the facility collapsing, and nearby residents urged to shelter in place. Crypto comeback? President Trump's promise to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet fuels a boom in value, but will it last? And a federal judge weighs in on a new law in one state that would require all public school classrooms to display the 10 Commandments. We're, of course, tracking President-elect Trump's new cabinet as it's taking shape at breakneck speed. But we begin with the wildfire threat across the Northeast. 30 million people are under fire alerts tonight, including those living in and around the largest city in this country. Communities up and down the East Coast are experiencing the driest fall on record. Army National Guard Black Hawk helicopters dropped water today on the Jennings Creek fire just miles from New York City. Multiple fires erupting in the densely populated Bronx. One in a high voltage line that powers trains. Amtrak suspended trains in both directions. When will the weather let up? Lee Goldberg has more on that in a moment. But first, ABC's Trevor Alt leads us off near the fire lines in Greenwood Lake, New York.
Tonight, firefighters battling multiple fires in New York City. In the Bronx, an Amtrak high-voltage feeder line catching fire. Officials shutting down power and suspending service in both directions. While just outside the city, high winds fueling the Jennings Creek wildfire along the New York-New Jersey border. More than 5,000 acres charred, and residents like Barbara Lambert ready to run if the wind shifts.
So you're ready to leave right now?
Yeah, I got my stuff packed. You don't know. You never know.
Hundreds of volunteer firefighters coming to assist from all over the region, while National Guard Blackhawks make water drops. Today, New York's governor surveying the damage.
Last night, we had a very difficult touch-and-go situation, but I thank God for the teams we had on the ground that created the fire line necessary to protect these individuals' homes.
The danger rising throughout the Northeast. In Massachusetts, where hundreds of fires have broken out this year, the governor begging everyone to conserve water.
Critically, obviously, to conserve, to fight those fires. Trevor Alt joins us now. Trevor, what's New York's governor telling residents that they cannot do tonight?
Well, they can't be setting fires outdoors, Linsey. The governor's now established a statewide burn ban. New York's not the first state to do it around here. We've seen it in some of the surrounding states as well, as many of these areas are enduring their driest fall on record. Linsey?
Oh, wow. Okay, Trevor Alt, our thanks to you as always. And let's get right to meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our partner station in New York, WABC. And Lee, you could feel it outside. A new front set to bring more gusty wind to the Northeast. When do you expect this fire danger to subside?
I don't, Linsey. That's the problem. I mean, the wind will ebb and flow over the coming days, but in terms of the dryness, that's a staple of the forecast moving forward. Red flag warnings have been extended from New York City to Boston. Winds will be a little lighter during the day on Wednesday, but the humidity is actually lower, so that's why the fire danger is still elevated over the coming days. And it's now coat season finally in New York City. It took until November, so these winds are not the balmy winds of last week. They're gusty, and frost and freeze alerts go all the way down to Virginia, parts of North Carolina. It'll be close to freezing in Philly and New York, and into Boston's coldest air actually since early April. Wake up wind chills in the 20s. On to hurricane season. Boy, that won't quit. In the Caribbean, there's a 90% chance of some development later in the week. We might see a tropical depression. The next name on the list would be Sarah, and there's a likelihood that will form. We don't know whether it will go just into Central America or into parts of the Yucatan, but Florida definitely has to be on alert into early next week. We'll keep you posted on it. Linsey?
And Lee, back to the wind for a second. Is it typical for the East Coast to have this type of fire danger at this time of year?
No, this is not something we're used to at all. One of the longest dry stretches in our history here in the Northeast. Our humidities remain low. Our trees are getting stressed. All the dry brush from the dry fall, it's all kindling for the fire danger. So it's just something I've never covered in 30 years here in New York City.
All right, Lee Goldberg for us. Our thanks to you as always. Now to the massive explosion at a factory in Louisville, Kentucky. Witnesses say it felt like an earthquake. Take a look at the massive damage to the commercial building. Part of the facility collapsed. At least 11 workers had to be hospitalized. Our senior national correspondent Steve Osinsami reports.
People who live near the plant that blew up say it felt like an earthquake.
At that time, I heard the big sound. Every light is gone for a second.
From the sky, our local station in Louisville is sharing these pictures of what's left of the building.
Explosion with smoke clouds at 1901 Payne Street.
It's an old manufacturing facility that makes food coloring, and at least 11 people had to be hospitalized. Authorities say that everyone here survived.
Everyone that we are aware of that was working in the facility and around the facility currently that we're aware of have been accounted for. Louisville Fire Department rescued 2 individuals from the building.
The blast was strong enough to blow parts of the building on top of these railroad cars behind the factory, and strong enough to break windows at homes and businesses down the street. Louisville authorities, concerned about a possible ammonia leak, ordered families who live within a mile of the explosion to stay in their homes for hours. Some left with suitcases. In 2003, an explosion at this same plant released a massive amount of ammonia.
We have air monitoring on the scene right now, and all of the air monitoring is clear at this point in time.
Steve Osinsami joins us now. Steve, do authorities have any idea about what caused this explosion?
Not at this point, and they're telling us that it could be a bit before they have some of those answers. They have lifted the shelter-in-place order, and one thing that authorities underline is that this could have been a lot worse. They are thankful that the plant had an emergency response system that authorities say saved lives. So of the people who were hurt, only 2 of them are in critical condition, and that is despite the pictures that you see where the middle of that building is just torn apart. Linsey.
Really so remarkable. All right, Steve Osinsami, our thanks to you as always. Now to President-elect Donald Trump moving quickly to name his new team. He'll be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, meeting President Biden at the White House. His cabinet and his top priority policies are starting to become clear, even as a judge here in New York is considering how to proceed in that hush money conviction. We have Aaron Katersky and Catherine Falder standing by, but we start with Rachel Scott.
Tonight, President-elect Donald Trump expected to name one of his staunchest campaign supporters.
Are you ready?
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to lead the massive Department of Homeland Security. A true Trump loyalist, Noem a fixture on the campaign trail.
Yes, they love you. You're the one who protects them.
Trump once considered Noem as a potential running mate, but her star dimmed after writing in her memoir that she had shot and killed the family dog. As DHS Secretary, the former Congresswoman will oversee FEMA, the Secret Service, and the Coast Guard. But her key focus will be on immigration, ICE, and the Border Patrol. Noem will be tasked with implementing the president-elect's signature campaign promise of mass deportations.
President Trump has already indicated that he wants to start by making sure that we're deporting the most dangerous first. Those criminals, murderers, rapists that are threatening safety in our communities, they're going to be the first ones on the list to go.
Noem expected to work hand in hand with Trump's incoming Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller, and with newly named border czar Tom Homan, who says while criminals will be targeted first for deportation, undocumented immigrants without criminal convictions should not rest easy.
You shouldn't be comfortable either, because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal, and you're not off the table.
The president-elect also fleshing out his national security team. Sources telling us he will name Florida Senator Marco Rubio as his Secretary of State.
We are patriots who love America, and thank you for running.
Rubio, who sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, hawkish on China. But his views on Ukraine have shifted over the years, recently voting against increased aid, a position more in line with Trump's.
I'm not on Russia's side, but unfortunately the reality of it is that the way the war in Ukraine is going to end is with a negotiated settlement.
Rubio also a fierce supporter of Israel's sustained war on Hamas in Gaza. Today, Trump naming an ally who shares those views, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel. The president-elect saying Huckabee will work tirelessly to bring about peace in the Middle East.
Rachel Scott joins us now from the Capitol. Rachel, late today, the Trump team continued to announce more appointments. Who else has Trump chosen for jobs in his White House?
Lindsay, this is a transition that is moving very quickly at lightning speed. So just moments ago, we heard from the president-elect. He is announcing that his former director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, will become the next director of the CIA. Trump has made it clear himself that he wants to have more power and control over the intelligence agencies, also the Department of Justice. In Ratcliffe, he does find a loyal Trump ally. He praised him in this statement for going after President Biden's son, Hunter, and also criticizing some of the investigations into the Trump campaign's ties to Russia back in 2016. And of course, tomorrow, all eyes will be here on Washington, D.C. The president-elect travels to the White House to meet with President Biden one-on-one in the Oval Office. He'll also be traveling right here to Capitol Hill as well to meet with congressional Republicans, Lindsay.
All right, it'd be interesting to see that moment play out. Rachel Scott for us from the Capitol. Thanks so much, Rachel. President-elect Trump is still facing a jury conviction in the hush money election interference case here in New York. Today, a judge was set to decide whether to proceed or dismiss the case, but instead called for a delay. ABC's senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky is here with more on how Trump's re-election has raised some historic complications. Hey, Aaron.
Oh, it sure has, Lindsay, because no court has ever been confronted with a president-elect awaiting sentencing on felony charges. Today, Trump said his conviction from back in May on charges he tried to cover up a hush payment to a porn star before the 2016 election should be thrown out to avoid unconstitutional impediments to his ability to govern. Prosecutors conceded these are unprecedented circumstances, but they asked for time to consider how the jury's verdict might impact the presidency. So the judge agreed to give them 1 week, Lindsay, but then he's going to decide whether Trump should enter the White House unencumbered by any criminal proceeding. It really is a test of the American principle that no one is above the law. Lindsay?
Fascinating. All right, Aaron Katersky for us. Thank you, Aaron. Now we want to get insight from a lawmaker who knows the issues along the border very well. Representative Monica de la Cruz represents a South Texas district along the U.S.-Mexico border. She's a Republican and just secured a second term in the historically blue Rio Grande Valley. Congresswoman, thank you so much for talking with us. What's your reaction to the appointments that we've learned about so far?
Well, the appointments are exciting. Trump is hitting the ground running, wasting no more time. The first 100 days in Congress and in his presidency, he expects us to get to work, and so do the American people. And that is why we were planning so quickly right now so that we have a quick, fast 100 days where the American people see results from their votes.
And you campaigned on a platform focused on securing the border. What would you like to see specifically from a Trump administration?
Well, earlier this year, we passed H.R. 2, the Secure the Border Act, the most comprehensive and conservative legislation ever passed by the House of Representatives. We want to see that come into law. Coming in the 119th Congress, we're going to have the Senate, the White House, and the House. Thus, I believe that we will finally be able to do what the American people want us to do, which is to secure the border and to reform legal immigration.
Is there anything in the current border policy that you think is working that you might want to see continue?
The current policy from the Biden-Harris administration is a joke. It is reckless. It has opened borders. It has caused chaos at the borders and made our neighborhoods unsafe. This is why Hispanics made a loud message last week. They said, "Not in my name." No more open policies, no more reckless open border policies by the Biden administration. It's time that these D.C. elites stop that reckless open border policy just to make themselves feel good at the D.C. cocktail parties. Hispanics don't want it. They want a secure border. They want safe neighborhoods and a safe nation. That's why they overwhelmingly chose President Trump as their 47th president.
And so you don't think that the Biden administration has done anything that should be continued at the border?
What the Biden administration has done is they've let criminals through our border. We have seen women raped. We have seen children like Jocelyn, like Laken Riley, who were murdered by illegal immigrants. So what we need is a safe and secure border. That's what Americans want. They want national security. That's why they overwhelmingly chose President Trump. But in my part of the district, which is deep South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, we had every single county turned from blue to red, overwhelmingly choosing President Trump, choosing myself. In fact, in Starr County, where it is 98% Hispanic, they flipped red for the first time since 1892. That's telling you that Biden and Harris did not secure a border. They did not like the chaos under their failed leadership, and that's why they flipped red for the first time in over 100 years.
Really? So you would attribute that shift, and it was a major shift, in particular among Latino voters. You think that's entirely because of the border?
I think there were three issues. It was the border, first and foremost, which we talked about. It was the economy. Hispanics tend to have larger families. That means more mouths to feed. Under the Biden-Harris administration, we've seen the cost of living increase exponentially. And what that means is they struggle to live from paycheck to paycheck and put the basics of eggs and milk on the table. The third thing is culturally. Culturally, Republicans were talking about prosperity. They were talking about hope for the future, prosperity. Meanwhile, the Democrats were talking about pronouns. They were completely disconnected from the Hispanic population and, quite frankly, from the American people.
Representative De La Cruz, we thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
For a closer look at what we've learned so far about the plans for the second Trump administration and what's ahead, we turn to ABC's Catherine Faulders. Catherine, thank you for joining us. Of course, we're just 1 week past the election, and the Trump transition team is announcing several appointments a day. How does this timing compare to others?
Yeah, when you compare this to last time, Linsey, going back to the first Trump administration, Trump didn't announce his first cabinet pick until mid-November, and then that continued throughout December into January. He was having the press come to his clubs, whether we were at Bedminster or down at Mar-a-Lago, where he did all of this really on camera. It was speed dating style. You would see Trump come out, get a candidate for a particular position. You'd have a chance to ask him questions. Then they'd go in, then they'd come out of their interview. All of this is so different this time around. It's happening completely behind the scenes. We haven't seen President-elect Trump on camera since he won the election. He has been huddled with his transition team at Mar-a-Lago. He's being presented PowerPoints by his team. He's going through it. There's PowerPoints that list candidates for each job, and then he's essentially picking them and putting them out on True Social. Now, there are still some big ones left. I'm told by sources that he is focused specifically on DOJ today, a candidate for Attorney General, if you will. We don't know when that will be announced. But the point is, all of this is moving much quicker than last time.
And there's been a lot of talk about Trump's focus on loyalty. How much is that a factor in these picks?
It seems to be a factor in some sense. You see the people who he's picked so far, the focus in the beginning was on immigration. He's picked somebody by the name of Tom Homan, who ran one of the agencies in the last administration and has pledged to carry out his promise of mass deportations. You've seen him putting allies in the Senate in these spots. Marco Rubio, for example, we're expecting him to be Secretary of State. He is qualified for the job. If you would talk to some Republicans who would say he's a great choice for that, but he was also considered to be President-elect Trump's vice president. So we're seeing a lot of these people who are expected, yes, but at the same time, there is a loyalty pledge, if you will, that we are seeing play out in these picks. And I think the big test will be who he picks next for some of these big positions. Trump, on the campaign trail, vowed political retribution against his enemies. Of course, that is a big focus on the FBI director, the attorney general. We've reported on some of these candidates that are in consideration for the attorney general. They are some candidates who, frankly, are controversial in some ways. Does he go down that route, or does he not? Does he pick people who Republicans would believe are qualified for the job of attorney general? These next picks, I believe, depending on which way he goes, will really give us a good idea of what the next administration will look like.
Any surprises in the selection so far?
I think it's how quickly this is moving. In terms of surprises, we've seen he picked his chief of staff, Susie Wiles. We've been really thinking that all along. She's been the longest serving person for his campaign. She's known as the gatekeeper. She's liked among all Republicans, frankly, on the Hill and Trump's allies. So in terms of those who he's picked so far, it's been pretty predictable. The question is, of course, who does he pick next? But the main difference here, as we've been talking about, is just the speed at which this is going. I think one big surprise is how much people like RFK Jr., Elon Musk are weighing in. We know that they were going to have big roles. Trump has said that publicly, but these are two people who have been at Mar-a-Lago almost every day since Trump won the election. They're weighing in heavily on those staffing picks. How does that ultimately pan out, especially as it relates to those health agencies that Trump has said RFK will oversee? We'll just have to see. He hasn't announced those positions yet.
What are you going to be watching for, in particular, in the days and weeks ahead?
It's obviously who he puts in his cabinet at the top level jobs. Yes, that's important, but it's who he puts below the people in his cabinet. They might be names we've never heard of, but what influence do they have? We've been hearing some murmurs of some links to Project 2025. How does that pan out? Does he put those types of people in the government, throughout the government, despite distancing himself from that on the campaign trail? So while it is the big names that are at the top, it's really how is he going to build out these government agencies? Remember, there's 4,000 political appointees. That's a lot of people that he has to find places for in his government. Who are they? What roles do they go in? And what type of effect ultimately do they have on the government and the policy making? That is going to be a big narrative going forward.
Catherine Folders, thank you so much. And we've just learned tonight that President-elect Trump plans to nominate Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense. He's an Army combat veteran and a host of Fox and Friends. He was covering election night from Trump headquarters in Florida last Tuesday night. In a statement, President-elect Trump says he has spent his entire life as a warrior for the troops and for the country. Tonight, the Federal Aviation Administration is banning U.S. airlines from flying to Haiti for the next 30 days. It comes 24 hours after a Spirit Airlines passenger jet with Americans on board was struck by gunfire coming in for a landing at the airport in Port-au-Prince. Authorities have now learned of other incidents. ABC's Gio Benitez has more.
Tonight, a third U.S. airline hit by gang gunfire in Haiti just 24 hours after we saw these hard-to-believe images. Bullet holes inside the cabin of this Spirit Airlines flight hit as it came in for landing in Port-au-Prince. Now tonight, the FAA saying it is banning all U.S. airlines from going to Haiti. The notice going out to all pilots prohibiting any and all operations below 10,000 feet for the next 30 days due to safety of flight risks associated with ongoing security instability. American Airlines telling ABC News it's just discovered one of its planes was also struck by a bullet in Haiti Monday morning, flying at least 4 more flights before noticing. That's at least the third flight hit this week. That Spirit Airlines flight from Fort Lauderdale coming in for landing when gangs opened fire. Passengers detailing the heart-pounding ordeal as the plane diverted safely to the Dominican Republic.
There were 2 big crashes behind me. Then shortly after the crashes, the plane immediately started accelerating.
As one flight attendant was recovering from minor injuries, we were learning of another incident at the same airport. This time, a JetBlue flight headed for New York was struck by a bullet. The plane landing without incident, only realizing it was hit after a post-flight inspection. The airport in Haiti now closed amid a surge of violence and political unrest.
Gio Benitez joins us now. Gio, what are U.S. officials saying following these incidents?
Well, Lindsay, the State Department has told Americans not to travel to Haiti since 2020, but they're saying tonight that if they are still there, officials want them to stay in contact with the U.S. Embassy, Lindsay.
All right, Gio Benitez for us. Thank you, Gio. A Michigan sheriff says deputies intercepted a group of masked protesters waving Nazi flags outside of a production of The Diary of Anne Frank over the weekend. Witnesses say 5 people were allegedly shouting anti-Semitic and racist slurs in the parking lot of the American Legion Post 141, where the play about the young Holocaust victim was being held. Authorities say after the demonstrators were asked to leave their property, they continued protesting across the street and nothing physical transpired. Deputies patrolled the area through the weekend and the play went on down as planned. There is an anxious quiet in the streets of Amsterdam tonight after a night of violence on Monday when this tram was set on fire. Tensions began last week with clashes between Israeli soccer fans and pro-Palestinian demonstrators, some answering calls on social media to target Jews. Here's our foreign correspondent, James Longman.
Tonight, Amsterdam again on edge after a night of violence targeting Jews. Rioters setting off explosives inside a tram, igniting a fire, filling the cars with smoke. Some of the attackers yelling anti-Semitic slurs, throwing bricks, leaving windows shattered. At least 3 people were arrested. The city on high alert just days after Dutch authorities say anti-Semitic mobs ambushed Israeli soccer fans in the streets. Videos circulating online show this man pushed to the ground and beaten. Dutch officials say the attacks fueled by calls on social media to target Jews. But some Israeli soccer fans heard chanting anti-Arab slurs, others ripping down this Palestinian flag, shouting, "No children left in Gaza." Anger on both sides, fueled in part by the war in Gaza and the massive humanitarian toll.
And James joins us now from London. So, James, we know another soccer match this week has security officials on edge. What do you know about that?
Yeah, Lindsay, there's another match this Thursday in Paris, this time at the national level between France and Israel. And look, yes, another Western European city with a large Muslim population, yes, but also a place where there's real depth of feeling and anger about the situation in Gaza. So certainly there is the ingredients there for things to get out of hand. Such is the level of concern that thousands of police are being called up, and the Interior Minister himself will be there to monitor the situation. Lindsay?
Lots of concern. James, thanks so much. Now to a horrific death toll in China after a man deliberately rammed his car into a crowd in the southern city of Zhuhai. Police say 35 people were killed and more than 40 injured when the vehicle plowed into a group exercising at a sports center. Police identified the 62-year-old man only by his surname of Fan. They report he was upset over a divorce settlement. The city is currently hosting the People's Liberation Army's annual aviation exhibition, and Chinese authorities have blocked searches about the incident behind China's Great Firewall. Massachusetts Air National Guardsman Jack Teixeira has been sentenced to 15 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release for violating the Espionage Act. He pleaded guilty to 6 counts of willfully accessing and leaking classified national defense documents and posting them online. Prosecutors had asked for the 16-year maximum sentence, saying he damaged national security. The defense sought the 11-year minimum sentence, saying he has autism and ADHD, and argued that he did not intend to harm the country, only to educate his online friends about world events. So much more to get to here on Prime tonight. A distress call at sea, the rush to the site, and the daring rescue. Cameras caught it all. But next, Senate Republicans are set to cast their ballots for their new leader tomorrow. Who's vying for the job? What are their chances? And will President-elect Trump try to weigh in? Our Rachel Bade unpacks it all. Stay with us.
The next majority leader, whether it's me or somebody else, is going to have to work with President Trump.
Friday night, all new 2020.
You think the shooter was parked over here?
Why would somebody ever
put a wig on and gun somebody down in a parking lot?
A young father senselessly murdered.
Twists and turns, bombshells galore.
He got shot for one of 3 reasons: greed, revenge, or lust.
It was becoming more and more clear that there was a lot more to the story.
And then, bingo.
Fatal Disguise, all new 2020, Friday night on ABC.
A Hollywood studio want us to make a movie of our podcast.
It's a fabulous cast.
Action. I'm nervous playing you. The fearlessness, the complexity.
Oh, stop. Unless you had more to say.
I don't need an algorithm to tell me that this is box office gold.
Only Murders in the Building, streaming on Hulu and for bundle subscribers on Disney+.
Baby, oh baby. It was one of the most joyous mornings ever in GMA history.
Okay, and push now. Push 1, 2, 3. Baby's out. Baby boy.
Babies being born in 3 different hospitals live on GMA.
Oh, that's so incredible.
So what's more amazing than being born on TV?
We've had 4 babies so far.
Right.
It's just a beautiful moment.
Well, how about over 22 years later, coming back to GMA? Just wait until you see this live reunion. Baby, oh baby. What a way to celebrate GMA at 50. Thursday.
Let's do it.
My name is Luke Brown, and with the help of today's biggest stars, we're going to explore everything country.
Let's go! Going out on stage live, watching the crowd react. It's magical.
And once you've been there, it is a drug.
When you got kids, it's hard to write about anything else.
I told my fans everything.
When everybody brings their story, it really becomes something special.
Three, two, one.
It's a 24/7 life together.
It's not about the fear or the risk. It's about the love of flying. 3, 2, 1.
Willis Wu.
You know my name? Oh.
For decades, Chinatown's been the epicenter of crime in the city. I need someone on the inside. Follow me.
Jeez. A detective and a waiter. Partners.
Freeze.
Solving cases, catching bad guys.
Can I place an order to go, please?
Well, close!
Welcome back, everyone. For nearly 18 years, Senate Republicans have had just one leader, Mitch McConnell. But at 82 years old, he's now stepping aside, and tonight and tomorrow, Senate Republicans will be huddled behind closed doors to discuss and vote on who might replace him. Rachel Bade has tonight's Prime Focus.
For the first time in 18 years, Senate Republicans Wednesday will elect a new leader. Mitch McConnell's decision to step aside, igniting a ferocious lobbying campaign to replace him.
I'm going to run, Larry. I'm going to win.
I feel good about where we are, Joe.
I want to make America great again by making the Senate work again.
The significance of the role can't be overstated. Following Donald Trump's Election Day triumph, Republicans hope to leverage their control of the White House and Congress to pass a new sweeping agenda.
And that's an agenda that deals with economic issues, taxes, regulations, energy dominance, that deals with border security, securing that southern border, and obviously, as always, with national security.
For months, the race centered largely around two McConnell allies, Senator John Thune of South Dakota and Senator John Cornyn of Texas. Both hail from similar ideological persuasions. They're pragmatists, deal makers, and they raise a boatload of money for the party.
I just think leadership, largely, it is about tone. It's substance too, but it's about tone. It's about example. It's about, I think, bringing the right temperament to the work that we do around here.
I know the challenges we have in terms of $35 trillion in debt, more money being paid on interest than on the defense spending, and then obviously the broken border and so many other issues.
But Trump's sweep on Election Day emboldening MAGA-minded conservatives. They're now looking to install one of their own, or at least elicit concessions from McConnell's successor to push the entire Senate further to the right. Enter Senator Rick Scott. The Florida Republican and longtime Trump ally is also running for the position, though few in the Senate believe he stands a chance. The former Florida governor was the first lawmaker to join Trump in court during the hush money trial in New York. He's also a longtime friend of Susie Wiles, Trump's de facto campaign manager who was just tapped for chief of staff.
Whoever's going to be the Republican leader needs to work with President Trump, so it's probably better to have a good relationship than not.
That remark is a backhanded jab at Thune, who, while considered the frontrunner in this race, has been a Trump critic in the past.
If Donald Trump is the Republican nominee, would you support him?
Well, I'm hoping, Leanne, to have other options.
Over the weekend, big-name MAGA influencers taking to X to push for Scott and upping the pressure on Senate Republicans to get in line. Some even calling GOP senators who support Thune and Cornyn traitors and threatening to primary them. The harassment infuriating Senate Republicans, two telling ABC News that the MAGA pressure campaign could hurt Scott's candidacy, not help it. MAGA members also want something else, a fight with Democrats.
I think we need to do everything we can to counter the policies and ideology of the left.
And a clean break from bipartisanship.
Calling something bipartisan doesn't make it ideal policy for Republicans to embrace.
Policy-wise, they also want serious across-the-board spending cuts.
I'm a kid that grew up in public housing. I know that government spending causes inflation. I know that if my mom was alive today, she'd be struggling because of grocery prices and gas prices and car prices and home prices, right? That's all caused because we have almost $35 trillion worth of debt.
Perhaps in the biggest break from McConnell, who loathed government shutdowns, some Senate Republicans also want a leader who will refuse to fund the government if parts of the GOP agenda aren't included.
Do you think that McConnell undercut himself by not being willing to engage in a, potential shutdown fight?
The point isn't whether someone wants a shutdown. The point is what we're willing to agree to. And if we walk into a deal too eager to come to an agreement, it's a little bit like walking into a car dealership and saying, I want this car. There is no limit on what I will pay. I must walk out of this dealership with this car today, regardless of the price. You're probably not going to get a great deal on that car.
With just hours to go before the voting begins, Rick Scott's allies are imploring Trump to endorse him for majority leader, hoping that boost could propel him to victory.
If you've got any influence with President Trump, ask President Trump to come out publicly and say he wants to work with somebody as accomplished as Rick Scott to accomplish his agenda.
Thune himself raising eyebrows, warning Trump against weighing in.
My preference would be, and I think it's probably in his best interest, to stay out of that. These Senate secret ballot elections are probably best left to senators, and he's got to work with all of us when it's all said and done.
Regardless if he does, Senate Republicans tell ABC News Trump won't have much sway because the election is secret ballot. Trump did, however, make one unusual demand, writing on Sunday, any Republican senator seeking the coveted leadership position in the United States Senate must agree to recess appointments. Ceding power to Trump to fill federal vacancies without Senate approval while they're in recess would allow Trump to install his most far-right appointments, at least temporarily. Within hours of the request, all three candidates essentially agreed.
Moving at a fast pace. Our thanks to Rachel Bade for that. Still much more to get to tonight. What a federal judge wrote when deciding to temporarily block a law in Louisiana requiring all public school classrooms to display the 10 Commandments. But next, many cryptocurrencies have seen a huge spike in their value since Donald Trump's re-election. So why are a large majority of Americans still not buying it?
How many elephants have you killed? True natural beauty, one of the last of its kind. But this comes at a cost. 5 countries, 5 incredible real stories of adventure, danger,
We have to go.
and deceit.
Where are we going next?
We got this ongoing search for the animal we've been trying to find. These are the last lands. The national parks around the world that have to be saved.
There.
Yo, partner.
We're not partners. I'm the detective and you are the consultant. I see you brought your baby to a crime scene.
She is just spectating.
You're a single mom with 3 kids pretending to be a cop.
I am not pretending. I spot things that detectives miss. Still think my theory's flimsy?
That big brain of hers is going to help us close a lot of cases.
I'm just out here super copping. High Potential, all new Tuesdays on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Hey, good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Are you ready? They are ready. Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning. You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too. I'll be here.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
Michael, George, Clara, Ginger.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London. From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza. Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere.
Baby, oh baby. It was one of the most joyous mornings ever in GMA history.
Okay, and push now. Push 1, 2, 3. Baby's out. Baby boy.
Babies being born in 3 different hospitals live on GMA.
Oh, that's so incredible.
So what's more amazing than being born on TV?
We've had 4 babies so far. Right. It's just a beautiful moment.
Well, how about over 22 years later, coming back to GMA? Just wait until you see this live reunion. Baby, oh baby. What a way to celebrate GMA at 50. Thursday.
The news never stops.
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
Hurricane Helene screaming across the state, and that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story. As news breaks live.
ABC News Live is there for you all morning live.
Right there, as events unfold across the day, breaking down the day's top stories. ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
Reporting from the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, I'm Elizabeth Schulze. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. President-elect Trump once called cryptocurrency a scam, but has more recently said that he'd make the United States the crypto capital of the planet. 2 months ago, he even started a crypto venture of his own. The fact that he cares at all about cryptocurrencies has fueled a boom in their value, and that is tonight's By the Numbers. Since Trump's re-election a week ago, the price of Bitcoin, the world's most valuable cryptocurrency, has jumped 30%. But financial regulators often warn of crypto's volatility. After all, Bitcoin's value a year ago was just 2/5 of what it is today. According to the Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index, Bitcoin mining alone uses roughly 143 terawatt hours of electricity annually. That's the same amount of electricity New York State uses in a year. The creation of cryptocurrencies often requires thousands of computers working simultaneously to solve complicated mathematical equations. According to CoinGecko research, more than 14,000 of the 24,000 cryptocurrencies listed since 2014 have died and are currently worth nothing at all, which could be why 6 in 10 Americans told Pew Research that they weren't confident in crypto's reliability nor its safety. And there's little chance of cryptocurrencies replacing the almighty dollar anytime soon. Only 2,500 retailers in the U.S. accepted Bitcoin as of 2 years ago, according to CoinMap. But one never knows. Transaction costs are lower for retailers accepting crypto, and users like that cross-border transactions can be made more easily. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime tonight. Fans cannot get enough of Titus Burgess, the Broadway veteran, 6-time Emmy nominee and driver of hit shows like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, is here to discuss his upcoming Netflix film, Spellbound. And the National Toy Hall of Fame announces its newest inductions. Did your childhood favorite make this year's cut?
Did you kill Mary Yoder?
Sorry. No, I did not kill Mary Yoder. So it was a normal day until Mary started getting sick. No one really knew what was happening.
Her eyes just looked terrified. In less than 48 hours, my mom went from her healthy self to having died.
This is a mystery. How did she die? They begin to do this autopsy.
It's just screaming, toxin, toxin, toxin.
Did somebody intentionally do this to her?
When the tests came back, I thought, holy, are you kidding me?
I had dated Adam. I was scared of him. It changed the way I see the world.
She was really afraid for her life.
I do think Bill could have killed Mary. His wife died in July, and in November, he was dating his sister-in-law.
There was nothing in the world that was making sense at that point.
Caitlin Conley was guilty as sin.
Are you okay?
This girl thought she was smarter than everybody else. But there's another side to Caitlin Conley.
Well, I'm not buying this little Miss Innocent game.
Sequoia's a very small town. Everybody knows everybody.
My garden club is very divided. People think she's innocent. I think she's guilty.
Never heard of a case like this. Maybe a thriller.
It was pure evil.
We weren't quite sure what was coming next.
I know it wasn't me. Sorry. So, if it wasn't me, who was it?
Little Miss Innocent. Passion, poison, prison. Only on Hulu.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news, ABC News Live. Breaking news, exclusives, live reporting across the globe. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
America's #1 most watched daytime talk show is ABC's The View.
You all heard it here first.
I love it. I'm there for it. Hot topics, political views.
That's what we're about.
Voices that matter. It all goes down right here.
That's why it's called the what?
The View.
I love it. I'm all in. Second that. This is going to be must-see TV, and so much could happen.
The man accused of killing a University of Georgia nursing student is headed to court. A heroic rescue at sea, and My Little Pony wins at last. These stories and more in tonight's Rundown.
The suspect accused of killing 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley on the University of Georgia's campus has waived his right to a jury trial. Her death became a rallying cry for immigration reform from many conservatives, including now President-elect Donald Trump. Trump mentioned her by name as recently as November 3rd when he visited Macon, Georgia, in a final pitch to voters in the battleground state. The bench trial is scheduled to begin on Friday. Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, has announced he will resign after facing mounting pressure to quit over his handling of an historic abuse case within the church involving more than 100 boys over 5 decades. A 251-page report concluded that Welby failed to report an associate of the church to authorities when he was informed of patterns of abuse in August of 2013. Welby presided over the Queen's funeral, the King's coronation, as well as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Louisiana's new law requiring all public school classrooms to display the 10 Commandments, calling it unconstitutional on its face and in all applications. The lawsuit argues that requiring poster-sized displays of religious doctrine in classrooms violates the plaintiffs' First Amendment rights and the separation of church and state. Supporters of the law say the 10 Commandments have historical significance to the foundation of U.S. history and are not just a religious text. The legislation is one of several recent conservative-backed efforts across the country to incorporate Christianity or religion into the classroom. An NYPD rescue team saved a man across state lines in New Jersey who reported a medical emergency while on a boat offshore. Rescue divers jumped from a helicopter, then boarded the boat and conducted a medical assessment. The 24-year-old was lifted into a helicopter hovering above and transported to a hospital on Staten Island. Officials say the man is in stable condition. Crisis hotlines for LGBTQ individuals experienced a spike in callers after last week's election of Donald Trump. The Trevor Project, which focuses on suicide prevention, reported a 700% increase in calls, texts, and chat messages last week compared to previous weeks. After years as an also-ran, My Little Pony has been voted into the National Toy Hall of Fame in Rochester, New York. Card Game, Phase 10, and Transformers action figures are also joining the toy greats. Anyone can nominate a toy for the Hall of Fame, and museum staff narrows the field to 12 finalists each year. Fans can cast votes online for their favorites, and the results are counted alongside ballots from a National Advisory Committee of historians, educators, and others with industry expertise.
Stability of a home or flexibility of an apartment. Living in one of the most unfavorable housing times in modern history, which is the more financially sound decision? In the debate whether to rent versus buy, there are several factors to consider. We break it down in our latest Cashing In with Elizabeth Schulze.
Buying a house is one of the biggest financial decisions you can make. And right now, it's a decision that seems so out of reach for so many people because we are in one of the most unaffordable housing markets in decades. A recent analysis from real estate firm CBRE found that on average in the U.S., it's 38% more expensive to buy a house than to rent. In other words, a new apartment lease on average will cost you $2,165 every month, while a mortgage payment on a new house is nearly $3,000. So does that mean it's better to rent than to buy? The answer to that question is complicated. The first thing to know, buying a house is a personal decision based on a lot of factors, including where you live, your budget for a down payment, interest rates, tax rates, and how long you want to live in a specific place. One general rule of thumb is if you plan to stay somewhere for a short amount of time, like fewer than 5 years, renting is usually cheaper. That's because there are a lot of fees up front when you buy. You might pay thousands of dollars in closing costs, like title insurance, broker fees, or taxes, which is money you won't ever get back. And typically, when you make a mortgage payment for the first few years, most of your money will go toward interest. Interest is the price you pay the bank or your lender to take out a loan. It's also money you won't get back. But the longer you live in the home, the more of your monthly payment goes toward your principal instead of interest. This is important because principal is how you build equity. Equity basically is money you would get back sold if you decide to sell the house. There are a lot of other pros and cons when you think about buying versus renting. When you buy, you can do whatever you want to the house. Paint, tear down a couple walls, add in a pool, and you don't have to answer to a landlord. But that can also be a con if something breaks. You're in charge of fronting the cost for repairs and maintenance. So how do you know if it'll pay off to buy a house? Well, one simplified way to compare the cost of buying versus renting is by calculating a rent ratio. Here's how it works. Let's say you want to buy a $400,000 house. Find out how much it will cost you per year to rent a similar priced house. Let's say the monthly rent is $2,000, which would mean you're paying $24,000 per year. To determine the rent ratio, divide $400,000 by $24,000. In this case, that gives you a rent ratio of 16.7. A rent ratio below 20 means you're better off buying. A rent ratio above 20 tips you toward renting. So in this example, buying could be the better financial option in the long term. And that's what you need to know to keep cashing in.
Some helpful guidance there. Are thanks to Elizabeth Schulze for that. Our next guest is a Broadway veteran and 6-time Emmy nominee who you may recognize from hit shows like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He's wowed audiences with his powerful voice in productions like Guys and Dolls and the hit series Schmigadoon. Now he's lending his voice to a new animated film. Let's take a look.
Princess Alien.
That's me!
So you're having some trouble with your parents?
Yeah, they went into the dark forest, and when they came back, they were a little different.
How different?
Well...
Oh, wow, you ain't kidding.
Her parents are monsters.
Wow.
Looks like a lot of fun. Joining us now is Titus Burgess to discuss the upcoming Netflix film Spellbound. Welcome to the show, Titus.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
So tell us about this movie, what we can expect from this fantasy adventure.
Of course. Our film sort of explores what we know about fairy tales and sort of begs the question exactly what is a happy ending? And we sort of watch this family explore those themes as they take on new forms and become sort of a non-traditional family, which looks a lot like many families we have in our world today.
And tell us in particular about your character, Sonny the Oracle.
Yes, I play Sonny the Oracle opposite Nathan Lane, who plays Luno. And we sort of guide Princess Elian on what it's going to take to get her parents back to human form as she goes through the dark forest.
Voice acting, I imagine, is a very unique art. How does that compare? Because obviously you've done a lot of Broadway, and now you're in this room by yourself?
Yep, we don't film with other people. You do it by yourself, and kind of you sort of have to play off yourself and just rely on the text. And of course, our fantastic director, Vicky, you know, she offers wonderful guidance. But you don't get to, in fact, yesterday was the first day that I met Nathan Lane.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was the first time we were together in the same room.
How does that compare for you? Do you have a preference, or you like both?
It's nice to, you know, it's always nice to have a scene partner, you know, to have someone to play off of. But also voice acting, you know, you only have your sonically your instrument to rely on. So just kind of you pull from a different muscle. And do you think that you're going to be making any returns to Broadway in the future? I hope so. You know, it's tough out there, and 8 shows a week is hard, and I've not done it in a long time, but I hope so. That's my first love. What can people expect as far as when they're coming away from watching Spellbound, the general feeling? Sure. You know, it allows parents to be flawed and human. I think sometimes kids think parents have, you know, all the answers. And I think this allows parents to sort of say, hey, we're still figuring it out, you know? And sometimes parents, or sometimes kids, also parent parents, and just doesn't have, like, you know, vocabulary for that. So I think the general theme is, you know, all families don't look the same, and that's okay. And when you talk about that, I'm going to take that in a different direction as far as looking the same. Now, you and I were talking just a little while ago about when you're actually acting out these characters, sometimes you don't even know what they look like. Well, sometimes they're not even drawn. Yeah, and sometimes they're not storyboarded, so you're just offering up a voice and hopefully hoping that it offers some inspiration to the illustrators. And so are you able to just kind of draw in something within you? Well, yeah, I mean, I sort of based my character off of Glinda the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz. She's just sort of this eternal optimist. And I like to think I'm that way too, so that's kind of who I base mine off of. All right, Titus, a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for coming by. Spellbound will be streaming on Netflix November 22nd. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, the desperate search for a young autistic child missing since Saturday. But first, the extremely rare wildfires burning in the Northeast, much of the region under a red flag warning.
911, what's your emergency?
Now streaming, 911 is delightfully wild.
You ever seen anything like this before? It's a V-NATO.
It's one of the most compelling.
You managed to get a 400-pound tiger into a studio apartment.
And explosive.
Athena's on that flight, isn't she?
She's flying it. Shows on television.
I love you.
Tell me in person.
911, Thursdays on ABC and stream on Hulu.
A Hollywood studio want us to make a movie of our podcast.
It's a fabulous cast.
Action.
I'm nervous playing you. The fearlessness, the complexity.
Oh, stop. Unless you had more to say.
I don't need an algorithm to tell me that this is box office gold.
Only Murders in the Building, streaming on Hulu and for bundle subscribers on Disney+.
Wednesday night.
Oh my God.
We're back. The biggest and best season yet.
Oh, no way.
John Fiona's here. What would you do?
Here we go.
So the question is,
what would you do?
You see somebody in trouble, try to help. Can I give you a hug? Is that okay?
You have tears in your eyes.
Thank you for standing up for us.
Oh my God! Look at John! It's what would you do? I'm on it, girl.
now on Wednesday nights on ABC.
When you're 61 years old, you have very few opportunities to change your life. This time, I have to be ready. This is about everybody like me. I see a future, which is not what I felt like for a really long time. I don't feel invisible now.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our combat operations center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work. Hi. Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
David, good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News live.
Good evening, everyone. This is ABC News Live Prime. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We have a lot of news to get to this evening. Starting with a wildfire emergency in the Northeast, 30 million people are under fire alerts as red flag warnings stretch from New York to Boston. Plus, what we know about the deadly crash in China that killed at least 35 people when a vehicle plowed into a group exercising at a sports center. And after facing criticism for taking the Eurovision stage, Edin Golan is sharing her vulnerable side in a brand new single. But we do begin with breaking news involving President-elect Donald Trump moving quickly to name his new team and tapping the world's richest man, Elon Musk, for a new position. A short time ago, Trump announced that he will form a Department of Government Efficiency led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. He says it will become potentially the Manhattan Project of our time. The move fulfills a Trump campaign promise, but it does not create a new government agency. It will provide advice and partner with the White House. It's not yet clear how this will be funded. And just moments ago, Trump formally announced that he plans to nominate South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem as the DHS secretary. That came a short time after Trump nominated Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense. He is an Army combat veteran and host of Fox and Friends. Meanwhile, Trump will be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, meeting President Biden at the White House, even as a judge here in New York is considering how to proceed in that hush money conviction. Aaron Katersky is standing by with more on that, but let's begin with our senior congressional correspondent, Rachel Scott.
Tonight, President-elect Donald Trump expected to name one of his staunchest campaign supporters.
Are you ready?
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to lead the massive Department of Homeland Security. A true Trump loyalist, Noem a fixture on the campaign trail.
Yes, they love you. You're the one who protects them.
Trump once considered Noem as a potential running mate, but her star dimmed after writing in her memoir that she had shot and killed the family dog. As DHS Secretary, the former Congresswoman will oversee FEMA, the Secret Service, and the Coast Guard. But her key focus will be on immigration, ICE, and the Border Patrol. Noem will be tasked with implementing the president-elect's signature campaign promise of mass deportations.
President Trump has already indicated that he wants to start by making sure that we're deporting the most dangerous first. Those criminals, murderers, rapists that are threatening safety in our communities, they're going to be the first ones on the list to go.
Noem expected to work hand in hand with Trump's incoming Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller, and with newly named border czar Tom Homan, who says while criminals will be targeted first for deportation, undocumented immigrants without criminal convictions should not rest easy.
You shouldn't be comfortable either, because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal, and you're not off the table.
The president-elect also fleshing out his national security team. Sources telling us he will name Florida Senator Marco Rubio as his Secretary of State.
We are patriots who love America, and thank you for running.
Rubio, who sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, hawkish on China. But his views on Ukraine have shifted over the years, recently voting against increased aid, a position more in line with Trump's.
I'm not on Russia's side, but unfortunately the reality of it is that the way the war in Ukraine is going to end is with a negotiated settlement.
Rubio also a fierce supporter of Israel's sustained war on Hamas in Gaza. Today, Trump naming an ally who shares those views, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel. The president-elect saying Huckabee will work tirelessly to bring about peace in the Middle East.
Our thanks to Rachel Scott. President-elect Trump is still facing a jury conviction in the hush money election interference case here in New York. Today, a judge was set to decide whether to proceed or dismiss the case, but instead called for a delay. ABC's senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky is here with more on how Trump's re-election has raised some historic complications. Hey, Aaron.
Oh, it sure has, Lindsay, because no court has ever been confronted with a president-elect awaiting sentencing on felony charges. Today, Trump said his conviction from back in May on charges he tried to cover up a hush payment to a porn star before the 2016 election should be thrown out to avoid unconstitutional impediments to his ability to govern. Prosecutors conceded these are unprecedented circumstances, but they asked for time to consider how the jury's verdict might impact the presidency. So the judge agreed to give them 1 week, Lindsay, but then he's going to decide whether Trump should enter the White House unencumbered by any criminal proceeding. It really is a test of the American principle that no one is above the law. Lindsay?
Fascinating. All right, Aaron Katersky for us. Thank you, Aaron. 30 million people are under fire alerts tonight, including those living in and around America's largest city. And communities up and down the East Coast are experiencing the driest fall on record. Army National Guard Black Hawk helicopters dropped water today on the Jennings Creek fire just miles from New York City. Multiple fires erupting in densely populated Bronx, one in a high voltage line that powers trains. Amtrak suspended trains in both directions. When will the weather let up? Lee Goldberg has more on that in a moment. But first, Trevor Ault reports near the fire lines in Greenwood Lake, New York.
Tonight, firefighters battling multiple fires in New York City. In the Bronx, an Amtrak high-voltage feeder line catching fire. Officials shutting down power and suspending service in both directions. While just outside the city, high winds fueling the Jennings Creek wildfire along the New York-New Jersey border. More than 5,000 acres charred, and residents like Barbara Lambert ready to run if the wind shifts.
So you're ready to leave right now?
Yeah, I got my stuff packed. You don't know. You never know.
Hundreds of volunteer firefighters coming to assist from all over the region, while National Guard Blackhawks make water drops. Today, New York's governor surveying the damage.
Last night, we had a very difficult touch-and-go situation, but I thank God for the teams we had on the ground that created the fire line necessary to protect these individuals' homes.
The danger rising throughout the Northeast. In Massachusetts, where hundreds of fires have broken out this year, the governor begging everyone to conserve water.
Our thanks to Trevor Ault. And let's get right to meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our partner station in New York, WABC. And Lee, you could feel it outside. A new front set to bring more gusty wind to the Northeast. When do you expect this fire danger to subside?
I don't, Lindsay. That's the problem. I mean, the wind will ebb and flow over the coming days, but in terms of the dryness, that's a staple of the forecast moving forward. Red flag warnings have been extended from New York City to Boston. Winds will be a little lighter during the day on Wednesday, but the humidity is actually lower, so that's why the fire danger is still elevated over the coming days. And it's now coat season finally in New York City. It took until November, so these winds are not the balmy winds of last week. They're gusty, and frost and freeze alerts go all the way down to Virginia, parts of North Carolina. It'll be close to freezing in Philly and New York and into Boston's coldest air actually since early April. Wake up wind chills in the 20s. On to hurricane season. Boy, that won't quit. In the Caribbean, there's a 90% chance of some development later in the week. We might see a tropical depression. The next name on the list would be Sarah, and there's a likelihood that will form. We don't know whether it will go just into Central America or into parts of the Yucatan, but Florida definitely has to be on alert into early next week. We'll keep you posted on it. Lindsay?
And Lee, back to the wind for a second. Is it typical for the East Coast to have this type of fire danger at this time of year?
No, this is not something we're used to at all. One of the longest dry stretches in our history here in the Northeast. Our humidities remain low. Our trees are getting stressed. All the dry brush from the dry fall, it's all kindling for the fire danger. So it's just something I've never covered in 30 years here in New York City.
All right, Lee Goldberg for us. Our thanks to you as always. Now to the massive explosion at a factory in Louisville, Kentucky. Witnesses say it felt like an earthquake. Our senior national correspondent Steve Osensami reports.
People who live near the plant that blew up say it felt like an earthquake.
At that time, I heard the big sound. Every light is gone for a second.
From the sky, our local station in Louisville is sharing these pictures of what's left of the building.
Explosion with smoke clouds at 1901 Payne Street.
It's an old manufacturing facility that makes food coloring, and at least 11 people had to be hospitalized. Authorities say that everyone here survived.
Everyone that we are aware of that was working in the facility and around the facility currently that we're aware of have been accounted for. Louisville Fire Department rescued 2 individuals from the building.
The blast was strong enough to blow parts of the building on top of these railroad cars behind the factory, and strong enough to break windows at homes and businesses down the street. Louisville authorities, concerned about a possible ammonia leak, ordered families who live within a mile of the explosion to stay in their homes for hours. Some left with suitcases. In 2003, an explosion at this same plant released a massive amount of ammonia.
We have air monitoring on the scene right now, and all of the air monitoring is clear at this point in time.
Our thanks to Steve Osinsami. Tonight, the Federal Aviation Administration is banning U.S. airlines from flying to Haiti for the next 30 days. It comes 24 hours after a Spirit Airlines passenger jet with Americans on board was struck by gunfire coming in for a landing at the airport in Port-au-Prince. Authorities have now learned of other incidents. Gio Benitez has more.
Tonight, a third U.S. airline hit by gang gunfire in Haiti just 24 hours after we saw these hard-to-believe images. Bullet holes inside the cabin of this Spirit Airlines flight hit as it came in for landing in Port-au-Prince. Now tonight, the FAA saying it is banning all U.S. airlines from going to Haiti. The notice going out to all pilots prohibiting any and all operations below 10,000 feet for the next 30 days due to safety of flight risks associated with ongoing security instability. American Airlines telling ABC News it's just discovered one of its planes was also struck by a bullet in Haiti Monday morning, flying at least 4 more flights before noticing. That's at least the 3rd flight hit this week. That Spirit Airlines flight from Fort Lauderdale coming in for landing when gangs opened fire. Passengers detailing the heart-pounding ordeal as the plane diverted safely to the Dominican Republic.
There were 2 big crashes behind me. Then shortly after the crashes, the plane immediately started accelerating.
As one flight attendant was recovering from minor injuries, we were learning of another incident at the same airport. This time, a JetBlue flight headed for New York was struck by a bullet. The plane landing without incident, only realizing it was hit after a post-flight inspection. The airport in Haiti now closed amid a surge of violence and political unrest.
Our thanks to Gio Benitez. A Michigan sheriff says deputies intercepted a group of masked protesters waving Nazi flags outside of a production of The Diary of Anne Frank this weekend. Witnesses say 5 people were allegedly shouting anti-Semitic and racist slurs in the parking lot of an American Legion post where the play was about the young Holocaust victim was being held. Authorities say after the demonstrators were asked to leave their property, they continued protesting across the street. Deputies patrolled the area through the weekend, and the play went on as planned. There is an anxious quiet in the streets of Amsterdam tonight after a night of violence on Monday when this tram was set on fire. Tensions began last week with clashes between Israeli soccer fans and pro-Palestinian demonstrators, some answering calls on social media to target Jews. Here's our foreign correspondent, James Longman.
Tonight, Amsterdam again on edge after a night of violence targeting Jews. Rioters setting off explosives inside a tram, igniting a fire, filling the cars with smoke. Some of the attackers yelling anti-Semitic slurs, throwing bricks, leaving windows shattered. At least 3 people were arrested. The city on high alert just days after Dutch authorities say anti-Semitic mobs ambushed Israeli soccer fans in the streets. Videos circulating online show this man pushed to the ground and beaten. Dutch officials say the attacks fueled by calls on social media to target Jews. But some Israeli soccer fans heard chanting anti-Arab slurs, others ripping down this Palestinian flag, shouting, "No children left in Gaza." Anger on both sides, fueled in part by the war in Gaza and the massive humanitarian toll.
James Longman for us. Now to the unexpected twist in the case of a Wisconsin husband and father of 3 who vanished while kayaking in August. Crews searched a lake and surrounding area for 54 days, but tonight authorities say there's evidence he faked his own death and may be in hiding overseas. Here's our Eva Pilgrim.
Tonight, an international search for a missing father of 3 from Wisconsin who authorities say faked his own death and may have run off to Eastern Europe with a woman he met online.
I was totally shocked. It was just unbelievable.
that we would have a case like this where somebody actually staged his death.
45-year-old Ryan Borgart vanished from Green Lake in Wisconsin in August. Police found his kayak, his car, along with his wallet, keys, and license. But for 54 days, search teams using sonar and divers scoured this lake in vain.
What a waste of time that we did. We put so much time and effort into that case.
Police say it all unraveled when they learned Ryan's passport was used in Canada the day after he disappeared. A search of his computer revealed the married father was talking online to a woman from Uzbekistan. He had recently taken out a $375,000 life insurance policy and moved money overseas. The sheriff pleading for Ryan to come home, saying his wife, children, and parents forgive him.
I plead that you contact us or contact your family. We understand that things can happen, but there's a family that wants their daddy back.
The FBI is also involved in this investigation, the sheriff telling us that they are looking into whether anyone helped him. At this point, they think Ryan Borgart is somewhere in Eastern Europe. Lindsay?
Eva, thank you. Authorities in Coos County, Oregon say they found some clues in the search for a missing 5-year-old with autism, but nothing definitive. Joshua McCoy was last seen at home Saturday when his mother says they were both taking a nap. She told police when she woke up, he was gone. Authorities are using drones and K-9 units in their search. They say because of his autism, he may not respond to his name when called. Costco is recalling 80,000 pounds of store brand butter over a labeling issue. The company says the manufacturer forgot to include milk on the list of ingredients. The recall involves salted and unsalted versions of Kirkland sweet cream butter. The concern is for people with milk allergies who do not know that butter contains milk. And we still have much more to get to tonight. At just 21 years old, she came under fire for representing Israel at the Eurovision competition. Now she's ready to share a personal side of herself. My conversation with Eden Golan. But next, dozens were killed in a car crash in China. Why authorities there are blocking news about it.
How many elephants have you killed? True natural beauty, one of the last of its kind. But this comes at a cost. 5 countries, 5 incredible real stories of adventure, danger,
We have to go.
and deceit. Where are we going next? We got this ongoing search for the animal we've been trying to find. These are the last lands. The national parks around the world that have to be saved.
Baby, oh baby. It was one of the most joyous mornings ever in GMA history.
Okay, and push now. Push 1, 2, 3. Baby's out. Baby boy.
Babies being born in 3 different hospitals live on GMA.
Oh, that's so incredible.
So what's more amazing than being born on TV?
We've had 4 babies so
That's
far.
right.
It's just a beautiful moment.
Well, how about over 22 years later, coming back to GMA? Just wait until you see this live reunion. Baby, oh baby. What a way to celebrate GMA at 50. Thursday.
This ship is heaven. There should be no guilt on a pleasure cruise. Doctor, it's your job to keep everybody alive.
No pulse. She's in VFib. 1, 2, 3. Clear.
I have a pulse.
You're gonna be okay.
Reporting from Taipei, Taiwan, I'm Britt Clement. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world. We begin with horrific death toll in China after a man deliberately rammed his car into a crowd in the southern city of Zhuhai. Police say 35 people were killed and more than 40 injured when the vehicle plowed into a group exercising at a sports center. The city is currently hosting the People's Liberation Army's annual aviation exhibition, and Chinese authorities have blocked searches about the incident behind China's Great Firewall. The president of the host nation of COP29, the world's yearly climate conference, said today oil and gas are gifts from God. Shortly after, the UN chief told the conference doubling down on fossil fuels was absurd. Observers have expressed concerns about the world's largest climate conference taking place in Azerbaijan. An emperor penguin has been discovered more than 2,000 miles from its natural habitat in Antarctica. Visitors on a coast beach in the southwestern Australian town of Denmark made the discovery a few days ago. It is the first documented sighting of an emperor penguin on mainland Australia, and something that wildlife experts describe as extraordinary and concerning for a species at risk of extinction. She faced critics and backlash when she took the stage for this year's 68th Eurovision singing competition, where she represented her home country of Israel. Now, months later, 21-year-old pop singer-songwriter Edin Golan is sharing a new personal side of herself in her latest single, Older. Let's take a listen. And Edin, kind enough to join us now in studio. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So you released this single earlier this fall. It really talks about growing up too soon. Give us a sense of how this was personal to you.
Well, I wrote the song just about, from my heart, about me and my life, how I've been through different situations. Growing up from a young age in the show business is tricky, and living in a foreign country was also tricky. And so there were different situations that were out of my control that made me grow older than I should be. Yeah, so I wrote it from that place, and I felt like it connected to so many people in so many situations, especially in the world we live in today.
And talk about performing on the global stage so early on in your career. Obviously, this is your first single since you appeared at Eurovision.
Yeah, I mean, that was such an incredible, meaningful, powerful moment that I will never forget, truly. It was such an honor that I was chosen to be this year's representative, my Eurovision for Israel, in such hard and important times. And yeah, I had one goal and one goal only, and it was to perform on that stage, give the best performance, represent us with pride, and not pay attention to what's going around.
There was also controversy with your performance there, and also Israel's inclusion. Give us this understanding of why.
There was a lot going on around my participants in the Eurovision Song Contest this year, from being backlashed, and Eurovision wanted to take us out of the contest this year. And then our original song that we sent into Eurovision, named October Rain, they didn't approve it, saying it was too political, and then we changed the lyrics and changed the song, and the song became Hurricane. Yeah. So there was a lot of obstacles we had to go through, but we did everything in our power to make it happen and to show that we're here and here to stay and show our voice and love.
How do you think that music, we hear about it all the time, but that it can help bring people together?
Music has its own language, and it's a universal language that anyone can understand through emotion and feelings. And I feel like the beauty of it is that a person from any country that can speak any language can listen to a song and can connect to it on his or her own level of what they feel. And I feel like that's what we were there to do in Eurovision. And I really hope I managed to unite people by music.
And I know that you're working on your debut album. Give us a sense of what fans can expect.
where fans can expect a bit more of me, getting to know all my different sides, because I have a lot in me that I want to show, and a lot of stories and experiences I've been through that my output is music and that I put through it. So they can expect a roller coaster there of emotions and happiness and just getting to know me more.
Eden, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. All the best to you. And you can listen to Older wherever you stream your music. And still to come, remembering the dog who became a national treasure. Stay with us.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London. From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere.
When you're 61 years old, you have very few opportunities to change your life. This time, I have to be ready. This is about everybody like me. I see a future, which is not what I felt like for a really long time. I don't feel invisible now.
Wednesday night.
Oh my God.
We're back with the biggest and best season yet.
Oh, no way.
John Fiona's here.
What would you do? Here we go.
So the question is,
what would you do?
You see somebody in trouble, try to help.
Can I give you a hug? Is that okay?
You have tears in your eyes.
Thank you for standing up for us.
Oh my God! Look at John! It's what would you do? I'm on it, girl.
now on Wednesday nights on ABC.
America's #1 most watched daytime talk show is ABC's The View.
You all heard it here first.
I love it. I'm there for it.
Hot topics, political views.
That's what we're about.
Voices that matter. It all goes down right here.
That's why it's called the what?
The View.
I love it. I'm all in.
Second that. This is going to be must-see TV, and so much could happen.
Finally tonight, the tale of a loyal companion who became a national treasure.
With those puppy dog eyes and a simple wag of his tail, he became a beloved fixture of college football.
There he is.
A golden retriever by breed, but on ESPN's College Game Day, he was known simply as Ben, often right at his devoted owner's side, ESPN football analyst Kirk Herbstreit. More than man's best friend, the Rose Bowl named him its chief happiness officer, which might explain why Kirk's sadness was pronounced this week as he announced Ben's passing due to cancer. Posting on X, "This is really hard to write, but so many of you have loved and cared about Ben that I wanted to let you know." Ben's passing at 10 years old prompted an outpouring of support from fans on social media. This one on X reading, "Dogs are family. Dogs are best friends. America will remember Ben as a legend. He made so many people happy." Overcome with emotion yesterday, Herbstreit was unable to talk. As a video tribute to Ben he narrated was introduced.
Dogs are known as man's best friend. But what do you call a dog that becomes a nation's best friend? You call him Ben. Ben wasn't out here to become a social media star, but he became one just by being himself. Dogs' only flaw as a species is they don't live long enough, but the warmth they give us, that never goes away. This man's best friend, who became America's best friend.
Ben will long be remembered. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo.